Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Gold Standard. I am your host, Ryan Fravel, with my co-host, Sean at ND Forever on Twitter. It's been a while. Took a three-week hiatus. The college football 25 dropped. Been busy with that. We were waiting on some recruiting news that didn't go our way, unfortunately. But anyways, it's been a while, Sean. How are you doing, man?
Good. You just saw me fall. Yeah, before we started the show, I leaned back in the chair and it just flung forward and boom. Gosh. Good. Yeah, College Football 25 came out. I've been playing. I haven't been like you, or most people, like staying. I did like Saturday last week, like stayed up pretty late for it, but I've been just probably playing one game a day and then getting that vibes. But yeah, it's I love it. Great game. Small complaints about it, like very small, like big on the wear and tear system. I really like it. I just wish there was an easier way to sub people in and out. The rankings tune up. They need to tune the rankings up, and then studio updates. I wish the studio updates were a little bigger and better in the game. But other than that, the gameplay's perfect. Gameplay's really great. Love the game. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I have a few things like you had said. They sold us on the halftime presentation, and the updates were pretty good. Not really. The AI is kind of dumb. Like I said, I started out with my South Alabama Jaguars as my first dynasty. By the way, the back-to-back national championship winning South Alabama Jaguars with the Heisman Trophy winner Gio Lopez, who is a real player, by the way. Shout out to Gio Lopez. Um, but yeah, it's too easy, at least for me on Heisman. And you also like the first 2 years that I made the CFP, we had 4 group of 5 teams in the playoff. So that's very unrealistic because they're not going
I never know. I
to.
mean,
They had me, South Alabama, Temple, Boise State, and Tulane one year. Like the next year, it was
that's fun though. It's a video game.
yeah, it
The
was
problems I have with the rankings, if it's like 8-4, Georgia at number one, but Alabama's 11-0 and number
they're
two.
like the
I'm like,
but yeah, I mean, the game itself is addicting. Like I said, my sleep schedule was fucked up for like a good week and a half. Just absolutely grinding the recruiting trail. I was having those sleepless nights where I was worried that Georgia offered to me I thought was an unknown 3-star receiver. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, Sean, let's get into the meat and the potatoes of this episode because I'm sure this is what a lot of us are going to be pretty ticked off about. I know the Notre Dame community kind of tearing itself apart when this happened. You go 0 for 3 on your top 3 receiver targets on the recruiting board.
left on the board.
Meadows commits to LSU. You got Tuna Kynes who went to USC, and then Dylan Robinson who decided he wanted to play defense instead of offense and go to Washington. I'll get into my thoughts. How do you feel about it, Sean? Is it time to panic? Is it time to fire Mike Brown? Or what are we doing here?
Yeah, so here's my view on all three. Ryan, I'll ask you a quick question. How many receiver commits do we have in this class currently? 2. How many do we want?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. We have 2. We're going to get 2 more. I think now the 26th class is really going to be the focus, right? So here's the thing with those commitments or those recruits. A player wanting to play defense, that could have gone either way. If he wanted to play offense, he would have gone Notre Dame. It is how it is. I will say we have another that went to USC, right? So I think we put all our eggs in our basket on Meadows, and that affected that recruitment, right? We really put everything in on Meadows we started to lose ground, I think, on him. It's tough, but when Meadows was such a weird recruitment. Nobody thought LSU was in the picture. He moved his date for Notre Dame. It was really fascinating to see how everything was playing out. It could have gone either way. He picked LSU. Um, some of the things he said that he was looking for in a school and still picked LSU was really surprising. But, he picked LSU. You don't win every recruitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very few schools do, right? And even so, the Ohio States and Georgia still lose some recruitments. And I mean, we lost this one to LSU, and they earned him. So I'm gonna assume that one is you win some, you lose some, and then the other two is one to play defense, and the other we just didn't pay enough attention to. We were so focused on Meadows that it was like that's what I think. Like, hey, we really want you, Meadows, and they wanted him, but they weren't as hard on him why USC was. So now we're 0 for 3 on targets. It's not time to fire Mike Brown. He just got here. Plus, you know how bad our receivers have been since Chase Claypool? Let's get a year with Mike Brown, who's more of a developer than recruiter, as we all know and knew. And under Mike Denbrock, see how the wide receivers play, which will affect wide receiver recruiting positively, hopefully. So I think they got to see a year under the offense, see how we do. I think it is an overreaction to fire Mike Brown right now. But people were like, oh my God, Chancey Stuckey would never. But Chancey Stuckey rather blow with some of the students. So he's gone. And yeah, like he's gone. So, I mean, I don't hate Mike Brown. I mean, let him have a season before we start judging, really.
I think people quickly forgot that we hired Mike Brown knowing he's not a recruiter. He's not Chancey Stuckey. Him and Chancey Stuckey couldn't be further opposites from each other if they tried. Mike Brown is a developer. That's what he's known for. That's why they brought him in. It's because he can coach his tail off and coach the receiver room. He coached Alec Pierce into a second-round receiver. At certain points with the Colts, he was their number one option when Michael Pittman was injury prone for a while. He has a history of it. Our good old friend CJ Williams, who decommitted from Notre Dame a couple classes ago, he turned him into Wisconsin's best receiver last year in one season. So he's got the track record of developing receivers, but he's not a recruiter. Never been. That's not his thing. I can excuse him for that a little bit. But I was saying this on in our spaces a couple days ago. I don't care if you're at an FCS program, you're at a D3 program, a D2 program, you're at Akron. You have a recruiting board for a reason. You go out and you evaluate talent for a reason. You rank these kids from 1 through whatever in the order of how you might want to target these guys, right? You miss out on Meadows, who was your number one target for the last 2 years. That's 2 years of time that you wasted. Whether or not it was worth it or not, you just wasted 2 years of your recruiting effort on a kid that didn't pick your school. Tinoch Hines, he was a later offer. Almost a year you spent with Tinoch Hines. That's another effort that you wasted. Dylan Robinson, 3 or 4 months, he got his offer, right? Waste of effort. If you knew he wanted to play defense the entire time, that's a waste of time. You're wasting your time. You miss out on all three. It's unacceptable, Sean. It's unacceptable.
Lorenzo Styles. I mean, that was like, am I going to play defense or offense type thing. They didn't waste their time, and he was probably a better defensive player. They wanted him as offense, and look what he's doing. Same thing with – I mean, would you be mad? I mean, because I wouldn't say deep at receiver. I mean, a lot of transfers coming in. We'll probably get more next year, but we got some talent in the receiver room right now. So if we got the 2 we have now and we get another 3-star and just a 4-star, I mean, there's some – would you be mad if the 2026 class ended up being like – the elite class, like kind of like last year, and the 26th class was kind of like a depth class? That's what I view this class as.
Sean, you can't go out and go get a 3-star. You can't pull a Logan's. I love Logan Saldate, by the way. Shout out to Logan. He's one of my. I love him. He's one of my favorite recruits. He's a sleeper, right? You can't go out and get another guy that
Who
class.
was our best receiver last year?
Probably Cam Williams. He was a top 50, top 60
Last
guy.
year on the football team.
Oh, on the football field, Jordan Faison.
He was a walk-on.
Okay, but you could argue that Jaden Greathouse was our best receiver. He just couldn't stay healthy.
Yes.
So you're going to have more. You're more likely to hit on the 4 and 5 star guys than you are to hit on the Jordan Faisons of the world. That's just a fact. That's stat driven. So you could go out and go get a 3-star who's ranked outside the top 1,000, who's committed to like Stanford or something. That's cool.
I have seen on 3. There's this guy that people are really interested in. That Kyle Kelly was like, "Why are you all so interested in?"
Jerome Miles.
Huh?
Jerome Miles, yes, the 5-star receiver that's been decommitted from Ole Miss for the last 2 months. And for whatever reason, you know that Dylan Robinson wants to play defense and you still try to sell him on, we want you to play receiver. You know you're probably slipping with Meadows, which everybody and their mom evidently, and my own people that I know have told me that the Meadows thing, he was considered a Notre Dame lean for a long time. But the last few months, it has been trending away from Notre Dame. You get that sense. You got a kid that just decommitted from Ole Miss. You already got the Deuce Knight connection. And you don't say, hey, Jerome Miles, you don't even offer the kid, let alone recruit. And by the way, you lost out on all 3 and you still haven't offered Jerome Miles. What are we doing?
What did Kyle Kelly say about Miles?
I don't know, man. I don't know, and it can't be an academic thing. I'm telling you right now, it cannot be an academic thing with Miles because he's got offers from Utah and Michigan. I understand that Notre Dame has a higher level of academic prestige than both of those schools, but let's not sit up here and act like the difference between a Notre Dame and Michigan education is like Stanford and Alabama. Yeah. It's not that big. So,
agreed.
Why aren't we offering the kid?
Maybe there's somebody else on there's a white boy. There's a white
Cooper
boy.
Perry. Cooper Perry. And by the way, Cooper Perry was a kid that was going to commit to Notre Dame last fall. And guess what? Notre Dame cooled on him for whatever reason because they thought they could swing at bigger fish and get those kids. And look how that turned out. Now Cooper Perry's been committed to Oregon for almost a year. That's a kid that wanted to go to Notre Dame. I have people that told me that he was going to commit to Notre Dame. He wanted to go, but the staff kind of just said, we got bigger fish to fry.
Do you think they can still get Cooper Perry?
Sean, let me ask you this. If you're Cooper Perry and you wanted to go to Notre Dame and they turned you down, would you want to?
No.
John Anthony Hall, a local kid who was a very low 4-star when Notre Dame offered him, right? His top schools were Purdue and Indiana. All of a sudden, his rankings just shot up, and he's a top 50 recruit at receiver. And you slow ball him. You bring him in for an OV, and you slow ball him and don't show any interest really in securing a commitment. And he decides to go to Stanford, and now you lose on all 3 of those guys that you also had on OVs. And now you got to circle back to John Anthony Hall and say, hey, I know we slow played you. We didn't make you feel like a big, an asset. We just missed out on all 3. It's just like, how do you think these kids view?
It makes you feel like second fiddle. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
You get who you wanted, now you want me?
And that's what I mean. It's like, how are we time managing this? It's not like, and people in the fans can blame Mike Brown all they want. He deserves some blame. Hell, even Marcus Freeman deserves some of the blame for this, but you have guys like Carter Allman. Shout out to Carter Allman, by the way. He follows me on Twitter. And Chad Bowden, who their entire job is to do nothing else but recruit. You mean to tell me that they didn't have time to go offer Jerome Miles, go see him, get him in for a visit, go out and talk to John Anthony Hall and actually keep that relationship open? Instead of telling him like, hey, this probably isn't the place for you because we already have 3 guys that we feel pretty confident we're going to get. Like, they get paid to do this stuff, Sean. It's not like these guys are just like and it's not like this is their first year doing it either. Besides Mike Brown, this entire staff's been there for what? Chad Bowden's been there for what, 3 or 4 years?
Denbrock. I mean, it's been a year or two.
Denbrock. I mean, and I get from the standpoint of like, well, you're trying to get a 5-star receiver in Meadows, and you're selling him on what the offense.
We were the first team to recruit him when he was not. So,
but I mean, like, you're trying to get these 5-star receivers, these 4-stars, and you're trying to sell them on. This is what the offense could be. This is what the offense could look like, not what it is. And what's more disconcerting to me about this year is that Chancey Stuckey, with all the faults he had as a coach, as a recruiter, he was able to sell Notre Dame in the offense to these top 100 kids without Mike Denbrock being their OC. He had to sell Jared Parker and Tommy Reese, and he was able to still get the job done.
Yeah.
Why can't Mike Brown with Mike Denbrock?
I think too. Let's get him a recruiting class. I bet you in the 2026 recruiting class, we have a top 100 receiver. And people are going to slow down about it. Let him have a recruiting class under his cycle. Like, he joined late in this recruiting. Well, yeah.
I agree, that, Sean, but you miss out on your top 3 guys.
I get it. I'm not now. It's just that we got the portal. We got 2026. I really wanted Meadows. That was a big burn for me. But I think the 2026 class is going to be more receiver heavy now. I think they're going to put a lot of effort into that, as you can see already.
But you got to do something.
But how do we have a top quarterback in Deuce Knight and not get him a connection?
You don't think? And I'm sure that Deuce Knight is kind of asking the same question we are. Like, hey, what's going on? Why can't we close on these receivers? Like, I don't get it. I really don't. And it's not like there are other teams that have worse offenses than Notre. Rutgers. Think about this, Sean. Rutgers has a top 150 receiver commit. Did you watch Rutgers' offense last year? That was atrocious. But they can get a top 150 guy, but Notre Dame can't. Like, what's the issue with that? Like I said, no disrespect to Elijah Burris and Jerome Bettis Jr. I think they're fantastic kids. They're great athletes. I like Jerome Bettis, both at receiver and safety. I think Elijah Burris is very underrated. But you can't head into August with those being your 2 receiver commits. You can't.
Yeah, I think they'll get one before. Well, I think they'll get one shortly. They'll have 4 by signing day. They'll have another 3-star, like a KK Smith type deal. And then they'll have a 4-star.
It's just crazy to me and you know what? And I was talking to John from Always Irish on his show a couple of days ago about this.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily just a Mike Brown, Mike Denbrock, Marcus Freeman issue with receiver recruiting. I think it's a Notre Dame issue because when the last time Notre Dame got a consensus 5-star receiver?
Jordan Johnson?
Michael Floyd. Jordan Johnson wasn't consensus. He was a 5-star on a couple sites. Michael Floyd was your last consensus 5-star. That and John even asked me, he's like, at what point does the Notre Dame brand
Michael Floyd
matter?
So good.
At what point does the Notre Dame brand, the logo, the jerseys, the golden helmet, at what point does that start to matter anymore to these kids? Like, it's almost like you see, like, I'm not saying Meadows did this, but we know Keon Keeley did it. We know Peyton Bowen did it. They're using Notre Dame as a placeholder until they can get a better offer, a better NIL deal, a better school to come after them.
I mean, let's not act like Notre Dame hasn't gotten top 10 recruiting classes.
They have, but I'm saying, why are kids doing that? Why are these 5-star kids doing that?
I will say that Meadows' recruitment was so unpredictable. I mean, he was going to go to Notre Dame, then Alabama, and then LSU came out of nowhere. I think it's just one of those situations where he kind of liked Notre Dame, but he wanted to find reasons not to go. Right? I agree with the consensus 5-star thing. I wouldn't think consensus matters. I think more is like a site. Like, was Michael Mayer a consensus 5-star on every
No.
site? No. But he was still a 5-star caliber player. He was still great. I think if you're a 5-star on at least 24/7 or on 3, that's good enough for me. So,
But Sean, also Notre Dame hasn't had a receiver drafted since 2021. That's terrible. That's god awful. And I think what was that, Kevin Austin? That got drafted?
Kevin Austin was undrafted.
So I can't even remember who it was.
He would have been drafted if he came back another year.
Because I can't remember who it was then that got drafted at receiver.
Chase Claypool got drafted.
And that was 2019, right? 2019? Yeah.
Who was the receiver that got? I got to look.
But, yeah, dude, it's
Actually, you got to look.
I'll look it up. But it's just crazy to me, man. Like, I don't get how it's so hard for Notre Dame to just get some elite talent at receiver. Even Brian Kelly.
You haven't shown that you're good at producing NFL talent at receiver. Why would you want to go there if you're a kid?
I mean, okay, but Notre Dame has literally we're arguably tight end university, and we don't get the number 1 tight end every year.
Yeah, I think we're second tight end university, but we're offensive line university, and we get elite 5 offensive line.
But we don't get the number 1 tackle in every single class.
Yeah, of course not. It's not like, oh my God, like I'm number 1, I have to go to Notre Dame. That's like you argue Oklahoma's quarterback U and they don't get the number 1 quarterback, or USC's quarterback U and they don't get the number 1 quarterback. You still get a really good one, though.
So it was Ben Skowronek. It was the last Notre Dame receiver drafted. He got drafted in the 7th round by the Los Angeles Rams.
Do you think we get one drafted this year?
Probably not. You think? I don't think Thomas or Colsey get drafted.
But what about
Chris Mitchell?
Yeah.
I could see it, but he has to prove that he can do it at a Power 5 level for teams, I think, to take him. But it's just, dude, it's just so bad. It's like Marcus Freeman took over. He fixed the cornerback room, fixed the quarterback recruiting. We need to find like the Gino Guidugli or the Mike Mickens of the receiver room. We just haven't. That's the one position that you can glaringly look at and say Notre Dame's way behind the 8 ball. And it's like Michigan. Michigan was kind of in the same boat, right? Like they struggled to get receivers. Michigan has 2 top 150 receivers right now.
Their offense, the national championship.
But their passing offense was worse than Notre Dame's last year.
They won the national championship.
With an asterisk. But
you know what I had someone tell me?
What?
A Michigan fan. And I want to see if this is true. I agree to some point, but I also disagree. He said if you go to Notre Dame campus and ask about Michigan, Notre Dame fans hate Michigan. But if you go to a Michigan campus and ask about Notre Dame, they don't care.
That's just not true. I was talking to a Michigan fan in space about this a couple weeks ago, and he's like, they'll say that, but that's just not true. He said if you asked real Michigan fans, they'd say Ohio State, clear number 1.
Yeah.
And then Notre Dame and Michigan State are like tied for second.
Yeah.
So
that's like for me, people who put Michigan 1 for Notre Dame, I think that's crazy. USC's definitely 1.
I don't know if I have as much hate for USC as I do Michigan.
Oh, I fucking hate USC.
I mean, I fucking hate USC too, but like Michigan, I remember that 2014 game when we beat them 38-0. I know that it was 31-0 technically, but I'm counting the pick 6. And they played the chicken dance song after the game at Notre Dame Stadium. And then you saw the 2018 game. I actually had a roommate at Illinois State who was a Michigan fan.
Mhm.
and we watched the game together. So I remember that game, and we fucking hated. I hated that Michigan team with Shea Patterson and all them guys. 2019, like where they gave us an absolute ass whooping, and that game just that game to me was such a fluke because everything that could have went Notre Dame's like against Notre Dame went against Notre Dame. But USC has also been down for such a long time, ever since their back-to-back national championship appearances. That
I mean, you say that, but then like they had, let's forget the line art. I mean, Barkley, they were decent. I
John
mean,
David Booty,
then you say Sam Darnold, like they weren't a top 25 team and they didn't win the Rose Bowl.
but we kicked the shit out of Sam Darnold and USC.
100%, but they're still a good team. That's like you want USC to kick our ass to hate them. I still hate them, and if they're good and I whoop their ass every year, that makes me. That's like Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State's good. Michigan been kicking their ass.
Yeah, but Sean, like I've had USC fans try to like diminish what Notre Dame did last year by saying, "Well, Caleb Williams didn't have an offensive line. We didn't have a defense, so it doesn't really count." When
I mean, it counts that you had a shitty fucking team.
They're like, "When does Notre Dame beat USC when they were both really good teams?" I said, when is
the year Sam Darnold was quarterback, right?
Like,
they were both like top 10 that year, right?
I said, since when does that matter? I said, USC dominated a trash Notre Dame team for a majority of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of, I mean, how is that fair? Each team has like their down, but
and the same conversation I had with the guy off topic again. I'm sorry. I had these friends debating with me. 5-1, like Notre Dame should not be a 5-star prestige in EA college football. And I was like, okay. It was like, if I get your argument, I'm okay with saying 4.5. I'm okay with that. But then because they're like, oh, you haven't won since before I was born, this and that. But I was like, question, who would be above Notre Dame? And they're like Tennessee, Oregon, for prestige. And I was like, that counts national championships total. They're like, well, you're not in a conference, so no conference championships. But I was like, okay, hold on. We still made the playoffs in the Natties. What has Tennessee done? What has all these teams done? Like, it was crazy to me. Like, I would understand someone saying 4.5 because of the last time we won a championship. But with the history and everything we got, I mean, for me, 5-star 4.5 is for them to be like 4, like, and then have those teams above us was crazy to me. I was like, that's just like idiocracy. Yeah. Like, I was like, all because we haven't won since '88, which we should have claimed '93. But
we should. Well, actually, if you go on like the NCAA website, the NCAA awards Notre Dame with 22 national titles.
We claim 11,
but we only claim 11. Which I didn't know this, but technically, the NCAA awarded Notre Dame the national championship in 2012 because we finished as the number 1 team in the country. So I don't get how that necessarily works, but on their website, Notre Dame is the 2012 national champs. So it's kind of hit or miss, but 93
after that ass.
No, 93 we should definitely claim. And I don't know why Notre Dame doesn't.
But I will say that, like, and then I was like, they're talking about Michigan because one was a Michigan fan. I was like, we literally beat, besides a great, you just got, was it Blair? No. Who'd Michigan get?
They got Ivan Taylor.
That was great. They beat us in that recruitment so far. But I was like, the last one before that was Marion Walker. I said, every kid that Notre Dame and Michigan has won in the last 5 years, Notre Dame's gotten. No, like, oh, you win recruiting, but we'll win the real games. I was like, okay.
But that's what they do, Sean, is when you talk to a Michigan fan, they move goalposts. They want to talk about recruiting. Like, I had Michigan fans do the same thing. They wanted to brag about, we stuffed Notre Dame in a locker for your best recruit. And I said, first of all, he's not our best recruit. Deuce Knight and Will Black are ranked higher. Secondly, congratulations, you won 1 recruiting battle for the first time against Notre Dame for a head-to-head recruit since Marion Walker.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Well, we went on the field. You guys win off-season national championships. You're just like Ohio State. And I said, you're the one who wanted to talk about recruiting. Like, make up your mind.
Yeah, I mean, like, Notre Dame shouldn't be a 5-star because they have the second most national championships. I mean, as like I said, what recency bias do you have? I said one, college football didn't just all happen since 2000, and I said two, I said there's 126 programs. You named like 3 schools to be 5-star programs. That's bullshit. I was like, you got to have at least 7, and then 24 and a halves or like 34s or like however it goes. But like, that's stupid. All because you feel, yeah, Georgia, Bama are 5-stars. Like Penn State's a 5-star in the game. Do I think they should be? No. But I mean, they need more 5-stars. Like, you want everyone to be 3-stars in the game? Like, no, it's stupid.
So one final thing on the receiver recruiting, and then we'll get on to the Shamrock Series reveal. What do you think Notre Dame has to do to fix this? Because I was going through and I was like, the NCAA made a rule now where you can have an unlimited amount of staff members in the recruiting office and on the coaching staff. So I was thinking, well, maybe not bring back Shensi Stuckey because I think that bridge is burned, but bring back a guy with his that has a history of being a receiver or coaching receivers or something. Bring him into the staff to just purely recruit receivers. That's all he gets paid to do. Nothing else. I mean, that's what I think you should do.
I think we need to have a 1,000-yard receiver.
Who do you think is going to be that 1,000-yard receiver?
You got me fucked up. Like,
I think it's going to be Chris Mitchell or Jaden Greathouse.
I hear.
It's going to be one of those two guys.
Collins. Don't be surprised at Bo Collins.
It's going to be one of those two guys, Sean, and I think Bo Collins and Jaden Thomas will probably lead the receiver room in catches and targets, but I think Chris Mitchell and Jaden Greathouse will have more yards.
Okay. Let's look at these Shamrock Series unis.
Yeah.
But I agree. I can see that.
For whatever reason, a lot of Notre Dame fans, as they typically do, that percentage of our fan base, were complaining about these.
They're dope.
I don't get why. I like the gray with the gold. I've always kind of wanted a Notre Dame.
I thought that was blue, so
it's gray. Yeah. It's like a dark gray. So it's kind of like it in certain lighting it looks blue, but I've always wanted Notre Dame to do a gray jersey or a black jersey. So I'm kind of glad they did this. I really like it. The only thing I'll say is that I don't like the numbers. Like, I like the shine, but I don't like the kind of glossy look to them just because it kind of looks like a cheap, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it looks. But other than that, I think they're pretty dope.
My only complaint is one of the things that I love most about Shamrock Series is helmet stuff. I wish we had maybe a clover on the helmet that was gray on the side or small, something like I don't know. I like these. I think the gold, how it glows, reflects is really cool. I like that it's Gothic style going to New York. I mean, I think it's really cool. I like it. I don't see it's going to be for Army, right?
Yeah, for the Army game.
So, have they announced the green out game yet either?
I'm assuming it's Florida State.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like it. My only complaint, I'd say, is I wish they did something more with the helmet. We had the Yankees baseball. We had the Clover helmet.
Well, we didn't do anything with the helmet in Vegas.
What?
And we didn't do anything with the helmet for Vegas, and we didn't do anything with it last year either.
We didn't have Shamrock Series last year, did we?
Yeah, we did. The Navy game. First game of the year. It would count it as the Shamrock jerseys.
Oh, yeah. That was, and then we didn't do anything for the Chicago ones either.
No, we didn't. So, yeah, I mean, that would have been cool to have a gray, even I don't know if they probably would have never done that, but a matte gray or metallic gray on the helmet, in the form of a clover or something like that. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, we also had the new home jerseys. I'll pull those up here in a minute.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about those.
What are your thoughts on those? I know that it, it gets kind of an issue, becomes an issue when people start touching and messing with the tradition of the original jerseys. But
Things go on.
yeah, how do you feel about these? Let me pull them up.
These what?
Yeah,
All right, there it is. So, yeah, I'm big on the white side. I really like them. It felt classic, traditional, but I do like the reflective gold to match the helmet. I think it's gonna look really cool. At first, when I first saw the leak in the store, I was like, "Yo, those are trash." But seeing them on the players, I think they look pretty cool.
well,
Now,
because
I wish
in the stores, they did look trash. I'll say that they look garbage in the stores.
they look great here, though.
Yeah, but and I think what made them look like that though is that the ones in the store they had like that cheap printed on. It doesn't look like this. It's just the normal Notre Dame logo.
Yeah, I do wish that they maybe white bordered it. Um, or I mean, the pants. People complain still about the mustard pants instead of them being gold. Maybe they could have done something with that if they updated the uniforms. But overall, I actually like them.
Yeah, I do too. I I like how it exactly matches the helmet. Like it's the same gold. Now, you want to mess with the pants, and I get the whole argument of like, well, I don't want those mustard pants. But my question is, can you do this
It would look dirt
on
brown.
this?
It would look
Yeah,
brown. Yeah.
it would look like shit. Like it would look like not like shit, but it would just look like poop or it would look
Yeah.
like copper. So how can you do this with the helmet and get that on the pants without it looking weird?
I think if they did the mustard pants with something with white or have a gold thing like reflective too, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I do like these though, and I kind of wish that they would have done this like the gold on the shoulder. Imagine the white uniforms.
Oh my god.
Mm.
In the game, they look cool.
Like, well, and I think these look better than what even it looks like in EA college football. I think they look better in real life than they do on the game.
I will say in EA college football, I think in the daytime, surprisingly, the helmets look perfect in the game.
Mm-hmm.
At night, they're a little dull. I feel
yeah.
like at night is actually when they pop more the gold because the lights are on them. So that's my complaint with that. But and is the gold around the numbers the same too?
It is.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I do like how they did with the Shamrock jerseys. They did the shiny gold on the gloves too, which was a nice touch.
Give me your captain predictions for this year. What do we normally have? 5 or 7? I forget.
I think it's 5, right? What is
So
that?
give me your captain predictions.
Riley Leonard.
Oh, okay.
Ben Morrison.
Okay.
Xavier Watts.
Okay.
Howard Cross.
Okay.
Probably Chris Mitchell.
I disagree completely. 3 of them are wrong. All right. Good list, though. Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kaiser.
That's a good one. Yep, that's a good one.
Then I got Mitchell Evans.
Oh, yeah, that's another good one.
Mitchell Evans. And then I can see Riley Leonard.
I think you got to get right. It's kind of like Sam Hartman. Hartman just automatically got the captain patch. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you're.
But it's a little different. Like, Hartman came in, he had, like, big dick swinging. Like I'm for real. Like, it was just swinging.
Riley Leonard just comes in.
Riley Leonard's kind of like.
He likes
coming in hurt. Has, like, a cast around it. We haven't seen it yet.
And Sean, he likes being degraded by his own mother. So.
There's some Game of Thrones shit going on. No. But yeah, I think that'd be a good captain group. I think the defense, Kaiser, Benjamin Morrison, and Watts are kind of 100%. And then I think I could see Mitchell Evans and I could see a Tosh Baker as an underrated one, like stick through adversity type thing. If he does start, I don't predict he does. I could see that being one. And then another one that I could see is if a receiver steps up like a Chris Mitchell or a Bo Collins. But I don't see Howard Cross is a really good one. I just don't see them doing more than 3 on defense. And I think Benjamin and Watts are pretty much locks. And then Kaiser coming back, I think that's kind of a lot.
By the way, shout out to the 223 people watching live right now. I know most of you guys are probably on Twitter right now. Just chopped up to 225. If you like what me and Sean are doing, you like the show, go over to Week Zero Productions on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like. We do this podcast every other week. During football season, it'll be every week. So pretty soon here, we're going to be doing every week, doing game previews, game reviews, our thoughts and everything like that. And also, I don't know, Sean, I don't know if you'll be free, but I'm trying to also do post games right after the game gets over, doing an instant post game reaction.
Mad I
am. No, it's fine if you're mad because I haven't seen pissed off Sean, so I need to see pissed off Sean.
Okay. And if you like the show. If you don't like the show, you can go fuck yourself, and then and then just subscribe anyway. So that's the plan.
That's terrible.
No, thank y'all for joining. I love that every episode we get more and more people talking about something that y'all love to listen to or talk about too. And if y'all want to talk about it, feel free. We either love to hear your comments, and sometimes we like to have guests occasionally. So just drop comments and likes, and we appreciate you watching and enjoying the content.
Yeah. One more thing before we get out of here. How do you feel about moving Dallas Golden to receiver?
Yeah, I think we're at safety.
Keep him at safety?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was thinking about that. All right, Sean. Well, that's been another great episode. Thank you guys for tuning in again for all the 227 people tuned in.
Hey, we got one more.
229 people now.
Hey, maybe we should keep talking. Come on.
Shout out to you guys. You guys got to, I'm sure most of you guys are Notre Dame fans, so we got to, kind of rant, get it off our chest about this recruiting bullshit that's going on right now. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, if you like the show, you like the podcast, go over and type in Week Zero Productions. That's Week Zero Productions on YouTube. Drop a subscription, and hit the like button, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Fall camp's going to get started this weekend, or not this weekend, but next week. So we're getting closer and closer. July 31st, I'll be dropping the Notre Dame pump up video. So we got a lot of stuff coming for you guys on Week Zero Productions. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. I am your host, Ryan Fervell, with my co-host Sean at Indy Forever on Twitter. Go drop us a follow on there as well. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. As always, go Irish and go